Welcome back, folks. Well, we made it back from the dyno, and we are extremely pleased, very happy. So I'm going to just go over real quick where we went to the dyno the first time, just gloss over the issues we had, and then I'm going to circle back and tell you what our results were over this weekend on our second round to the dyno with our 5.7 Gen 3 Hemi. Remember, it's a stroke to approximately 395 cubic inches, I think. It's a 20 over block, 5.7 block, 2005 block. Eagle heads, I think they're reported by Arrington. Custom comp cam, and a prefix intake manifold, and a Holley EFI throttle body, and a Holley terminator. So again, you want to go back and look at our other videos, the problems we had, what we found. Several issues first time around. So last time we went to the dyno, we were experiencing, for one thing, oil pressure issues, weird oil pressure issues. I kind of started figuring some of it out. But last time we came, no matter what we did, 5,400 RPM was where it like it hit a brick wall. And the oil pressure even dropped after 5,400. At 5,500, you can see where the oil pressure just started falling off. So we were concerned, had major concerns. One of the dyno runs we did, looks like it, I believe on one of these, we hit there's 510 at 5,400. It was really bad about repeating itself. It was just not happy. It was smoking. And again, it was very lackluster in my opinion for the components and everything we had in here.
Hell yeah! We're running out of oil pressure at high RPM, and Aaron said, well, "Why don't you put a little more oil in it?" Yep, he said we fixed it. 579, and we crossed over 500 foot-pound. I don't think so, but we still hit 497. Golly, it's amazing when you put the oil control rings in properly, what happens.
Yeah, a lot of times put the motor.
Okay, we put.
Around, I don't know.
So Aaron put 2 more degrees of timing in this thing, so we're at 30, and it picked up again. So right now our best was 580. Wow, 580. Okay, so corrected power, it made 580. So I didn't know that. So surprise, Aaron. So we're going to hit it again here in a second. Add a little bit more timing to it.
Slowed that cruise control down a little bit. Is that nicer?
Good. Yes. Oh, so much better. Thank you. That IAC was getting on my nerves. 584. Wow. It liked it. Holy crap.
Sorry again. No.
All right.
For what my goal was, I really set a goal when I ordered the parts from my engine build provider. I said I would like to be around 600 horsepower, give or take 10, 15. I remember saying that. And I said it's a street car. It's not a drag car anymore. It's going to have air conditioning. It's going to have overdrive and everything else. But I kind of look back and I think, do I really need 600 horsepower for that? But that's kind of what my goal was. Well, you see, last time around, when we came back, we found 3 pistons that had oil control rings where the rail had jumped over to the other groove, and learned a big lesson on oil control rings. The other thing we found was that the cam was advanced an extra 4 degrees. So I think that's obviously why it just stopped like a brick wall. It did pull really hard and really down low, really good up to 5,400. So if it was in a truck, it'd probably been really good. But then we go just this weekend for round 2. We addressed all those issues. If you look at the series, go back and look at our videos, everything we found. Now, this is where we come in, and as soon as we got the engine fired up on the dyno, Aaron and several other people at Kuntz Performance, remember when it was on the dyno before, they came in and automatically said, it sounds like a totally different engine now. For one thing, it didn't smoke like a mosquito truck. And number 2, it just sounded much happier and much healthier. So if I go back here where we first started off, we made several runs. But I think one of the first runs we made here right off the bat without tuning or anything, it actually was down. I may not have it here, but it was down to, it's busted off 549 on one of the first runs. And it got better and better. And as we went through testing, we were noticing that the oil pressure was dropping off again, but not anything like it was before. The oil pressure was coming down just a little bit, and Aaron said, hey, how much oil do you have in this engine? And I said, I've got 5 quarts. This is a Mylodon center sump Gen 3 Hemi pan along with the Mylodon oil pickup tube. So Aaron said, put a quart of oil in it. Put a quart of oil in it, and then it would do it just barely at like, I think it was probably up around 6,500, no, 6,600. 6,700. It would drop down a little bit. Then Aaron said, put a half quart in it. So we put a half quart in it, no more issue. I'm actually a little concerned that, the oil pressure on several of these runs at one time got up to 100 PSI. And I remember we have the Melling high volume oil pump on this engine, and one of my subscribers, I can't remember who you are, but I still thank you very, very much. I was going to have the high pressure spring in there, and you said don't do that. Just keep the regular spring that it came with, the stock spring and the high volume pump. Leave it there. And I'm glad I did. What was happening was it was obviously starving, sucking the pan dry, and it was all going up top. Once we got that resolved, it was just, so now I think what it has is 6.5 quarts. So now we know, we got to look at dipstick. We weren't really sure that we trusted it, but at the end of the day, where we ended up, we started off at 549, then Aaron played with the maps and he started adding timing. And what's great about Terminator, I guess, is how you do the tables. This was run 6. And he had it at 28 in this range from 54 to 5,800 or 5,900. And then he adjusted it where, I guess at $6,000, it goes to 30. And it jumped up from 549 to 575. So with every increment, he would add 2 degrees. And we didn't go any further. Finally, what we finally ended up with was, let me get the sheet here. It was 584. Here we go, test date. This is where we finally ended up. He had it 28 degrees, all the way up to 5,900, or it looks like 6,200. And then at 6,200, advanced it another 4 degrees. And it looks like at 6,700, she peaked at 584 horsepower. The torque it did actually hit 500 foot-pounds, but the way it carried the torque, if you look at this, I'm very pleased. It just really carried that torque. The line on the graph was really flat. It carried it, 490 foot-pounds at 5,700. I couldn't be happier. So that's where we ended up. You see our oil pressure here. Oil pressure was hanging in there all the way in. At 6,800, I still had 86 pounds. And Aaron was like, how many times are you going to be at 6,800 on the street in this car? Not many. Not many times. So that's where we ended up, folks. Here's the dyno sheets. Here's the proof. 584 horsepower. We spoke about it afterwards. We went to lunch. And Aaron said, we can probably get more out of it and set it on kill, but are you really going to use all that? So he said, what I'd like to do is when we get back, before we pulled off the dyno, I'd like to put a safety factor in there. And he pulled little timing out just a little bit at the higher RPM, just to give me a little, he said, you know, I'm running a good pump gas here. It was 91 octane, 92. But he said, if you get some bad gas or something, he said, I've got a safety factor in there, and it's got the knock sensors. He said, you know, it's not so much set on kill. But that's where it ended up. 584 horsepower at 6,700 RPM. So I guess I was 16 horsepower short of my goal of 600. But I'm still extremely happy, not only for the horsepower it made, but the mechanical integrity. I was actually very nervous. He said, come on, it's okay, let's go from 64i. He goes, it'll go. So he kept upping it up, and because it kept climbing. So climbed up to 6,800, no valve float, nothing. And, you know, in old school, that's kind of solid flat tappet territory on some of your older engines. So I am very pleased. Lots of learning lessons on this engine between the first dyno session and the second dyno session. You guys go back and look at our videos and all the things we found on the build. But now she's going to be waiting for the cradle to get here from Hemi Denny. We're going to order the coilover suspension, and this K-frame's coming out, and we're going to be moving forward then with our transmission and getting everything in. Got to get headers sent out and coded. So if anybody has any questions on one of these Hemis, whether it's oil issues like what we found with the O-ring, with ring gaps, or with oil control rings, timing the cam, we talked about that, like I said, from Manly. Lots of things, lots of learning lessons. So feel free to ask questions. And again, thanks everybody for tuning in, and super happy. So please like, share, and subscribe. We just hit 900 subs. Very excited. So thanks everybody. Have a great Saturday.